from Pastor. Hello, everyone. Let us read the Bible. Read John chapter 6 from verse 1. After these things, Jesus went over to the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great multitude followed him because they saw his miracle which he did on them that were diseased. And Jesus went up into the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples, and the Passover feast of the Jews was nigh. When Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, When shall we buy bread that these may eat? Then he said unto him to prove, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, There is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes, but what are they among so many? And Jesus said, Make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000. And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. And when they were filled, he saith unto his disciples, Gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost. Therefore they gathered them together, and they filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves, which remained over and above them that had eaten. Then those men, when they have seen the miracles that Jesus did, said, This is of the truth that prophet that should come into the world. Then Jesus therefore perceived that they would come and take him by force to make him a king. He departed again into the mountain himself alone. I are up to verse 15. In the Bible records the works of Jesus, and as Jesus was alive and how he has worked. And it is so amazing as we read it. And there are times in my life when I have difficulties, when I come before the Lord and when I pray, and how he answers my prayers. Truly the Lord and I, the closer I get with him, I can see my life becomes more wonderful and joyful. There are times of difficulties. When I first started the work of evangelism, I started in Apgokdong. It is a town deep in the mountains. And for 9 months, I lived in that village. And as I was living there for 9 months, I can see how God provided me food to sustain myself. I can see how he gave me rice to eat, food to eat. And I went to the marketplace to witness, and I had to go urinate, so I went down to the hills. And I went down to the hills off the road, and I saw there were wild bushes of strawberry. And I felt like God allowed me to come here to pluck these strawberries to eat. And truly, as I came across these things multiple times, I could see that God was alive and working in the midst of my life. I was so thankful. As we read the Bible today, and Jesus went over to the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great multitude followed him because they saw his miracles which he did on them that were diseased. And Jesus went up into the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples, and the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was nigh. And when Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw the great company come up unto him, he saith unto Philip, When shall we buy bread that these may eat? A great multitude. So Jesus does not pack bread all the time. And so he saw this great multitude approaching him. And Jesus began to speak about the bread to feed the great multitude. Where can we buy bread that we can feed this great company?
인생을 살다 보면
As people, they live their lives.
돈 여유가 있을 때가 있고
There are times when they have enough money, but there are times when we are lacking in money and short of money. And there are times when we face these situations. And when we come across these situations, what I can say for sure, even though we cannot see God, I can see how God always provides and He always was working in me, and I was able to experience this.
예수님 만나서
As we meet Jesus, for 2 days I have fasted, please give me some food.
말 그렇게 얘기했다고 해요.
If you, let's say you were to speak to Jesus this way, if Jesus was alive, why wouldn't He give you food to eat?
우리 가운데
Jesus, He is not living amongst us right now.
살면서
But as I live my life,
문제뿐 아니라 어려운
not just in the problems financially or for food,
너무너무 신비한 건그
and the amazing thing is, as Jesus became my Lord,
예비해 주신
and I could see that He provides and prepares for me.
주님 앞에
And for that, I am so thankful to the Lord.
최근에 저희들이 삶을 살면서
As I live my life and within my life,
예수님이 살아서
Jesus is alive. He is working yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He is forever the same.
않지만
Even though we cannot see Him with our eyes, we cannot touch Him with our hands.
예수님이 살아계시는
Jesus is alive. And for that, I am so amazed.
그리고 우리 한 사람에 대해
And to each and every person, we are not special people.
죄송합니다만
I'm sorry to say,
떨어지거나
recently,
있을 수 없고요.
recently I have not run out of food.
식이 떨어 그런 일은 없는데
I don't have situations where I run out of food these days.
할 때
But when I did live those lives back then, when I ran out of food, when I did not have food and went hungry, I can see how God was working in my life. And when I think about that, I am so thankful.
그 이야기 지금 다 이야기는 할
And I cannot say all this in words as I read the Bible.
예수님께 많은 무리가 오는 것을 보고
I can see that as Jesus saw the great multitude coming toward Him, Jesus asked, "Where can we buy bread to feed this great multitude?"
빌립이 뭐라 하냐면
What did Philip say?
밖에 아직 200
200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient for them to eat, that every one of them may take a little. So even if people just take a little morsel of bread, it is not sufficient. Philip was very good at calculating, but he had no faith in Jesus.
다시 보면은
And if you see the Bible again, if you see verse 8,
제자 중 하나
one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, There is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many?
사람께 얼마나 되겠사옵나이까. 그리고 여기서 이제
And so,
시몬 베드로 형제 안드레가 뭐라
Simon Peter's brother Andrew,
아이가 있어.
there is a small lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes.
우리나라에 가진 보시떡이 이렇게 큰 것.
And so it's not like the barley loaves are very big like today. There are very small barley loaves and 2 small fishes. What are this among so many?
제자 중 하나고 시몬 베드로 형제 안드레가 예수께서 여기 한 나이 보리떡 묻고 가졌나이다.
One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith, There's a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many? Verse 10, And Jesus saith, Make this man sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down in number about 5,000.
1절에 하는 이야기가
In verse 11 it says, And Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed
거기도 그렇게
to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. And the Lord Jesus began to do an amazing work.
그건 여러분 요즘이 이제
Everyone, today, to run out of food and to starve and go hungry, that is a very
이제 쌀이 떨어질 때 양식이 없어서 굶을 만한 그런 일들이 있습니다.
long time ago, we would often go hungry and we would starve.
그랬다고 말할 수는 없지만
I cannot say every day that I lived that way,
주님 내 곁에 계셔서
but as I saw how the Lord was with me, He gave me things to
것들을 경험하고
live off of, and I can see how God was working. I cannot see God with my eyes, but the works in which God works in our lives. I was so thankful to the Lord.
하나님이 우리 속에 사는
The work in which Jesus does within us, how amazing it is, I cannot express all of it in words.
자 중요한 것은
And the important thing is,
모두가
all of us,
예수님을 믿는 믿음을 가졌어요.
when we have the faith to believe in Jesus,
아직 양식이 떨어져
I ran out of food. What should I do? Can I borrow some food from someone? Can I borrow some money? Should I ask somebody? Yeah, you may think that way.
근데 여러분들이 양식이 떨어지는 요즘
Ever when you run out of, you may not run out of food these days.
돈이 필요한
And there are times when you run out of money, when you are in difficulties because of some situation.
그런 생각을 한번 해봤습니다.
Everyone, I hope that you may think this way.
주님 나
Lord,
그도 이야기하지 않겠어.
I would not tell anybody.
주님 이거 나
Lord, please solve this for me.
나는 하나님 내 속에 살아서 일하는 것을
I
경험.
want to experience how, Lord, you work to solve this problem.
그렇게 한번 이야기를 하라고.
Everyone, I hope that you may speak such words in those times. And sometimes you may think, is it going to work? Is it possible? I don't think so. I have no faith.
여러분 믿음이야. 예수
Everyone, you don't need to have faith. Jesus will work and He has faith to work.
예수님이
And Jesus,
모든 게 다 갖추고 모든 게 다 있다고 하면
if we have all things in our lives, then
없어도 되죠.
there is no
요즘
need for Jesus in our lives. And there's no situations where you run out of food or where your shoes are worn out and you can't buy shoes. But a long time ago, when those situations were very prevalent,
길이 없을 때
when I had no way
주님 앞에
before the Lord, not even once have I don't have this, I don't have no money, I have no food, please help me out. I have never asked such things to other people.
누구에게도 내가
Never
그렇지만 하나님 예수님께 구한전
have I sought for other people, but I always sought to God. And every time when I was seeking God in such times of difficulties and need, I can feel God was answering me. And one time I went to a no money witnessing trip when I was in Daegu. And in Cheongdo, as we walked up, and so we went door to door witnessing. And as we were doing door to door witnessing, there was no place for us to sleep. And it would be so nice if someone says, "Oh, come on over, sleep at our place." But nobody told us to come into their house to sleep. And it was almost the evening time. It was almost time for us to sleep. And so me and one person, we were walking down the streets late into the night. It was getting late at night. And we were walking in the streets. And we saw somebody laying down on the streets.
그러니까 이제
And so we went closer. It was an elderly man who was very drunk and who was laying down by the streets. And so if you just leave this if I just left this old man here by the streets, I felt like he would die. And I asked him, "Sir, where is your house?" He says, "Yeongcheon." Yeongcheon was we were on our way to Yeongcheon. And so that elderly man,
배가 밥을 못 먹고
and so we didn't eat. We had no strength.
그냥 어깨도
And so we took him and we put him on our shoulders.
힘이 들고
And so it was,
한참 가도 할아버지가
we had to expend our energy. And then when we were walking, he says, "My shoes." And he had no shoes on his feet. And so we went back, we backtracked our way, and then we found his shoes and we began to walk again.
자주 하니까
And he did it often. And I wanted to beat him up.
하여튼 우리는 지치고 지쳤어요.
And we were so tired, we were so exhausted, no energy.
영천에 거의
And we barely managed to come to the entrance of Yeongcheon.
가로등 앞에서
And right before the intersection, there were some youth who were gathering before the intersection under the lamp stand. And so the elderly man, he finally became a little bit sober, so he began to walk on his own. The young man ran towards us and says, "Father, where have you been until now?" It was the young man's father who was drunk, and while he was drunk, he collapsed on the streets, he met us, and therefore we brought him to Yeongcheon. And so the young man asked us what's going on. Oh, he was laying down on the streets, so we picked him up, and I think he's a bit sober now. And before he was completely drunk. And that young man, he said he was so thankful.
12시가 된
And it was late at night. It was already past midnight, and we starved. We didn't eat. We couldn't eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But he served us some food late at night, and then we slept in his house. And in the morning, we ate some nice breakfast, and the young man, he gave us some money to buy tickets to go to the train station. I believe that it was God who prepared all these things for us.
물론 뭐 최근에 저희들이 옷이 없거나
You know, these days to have no food, no clothes, no shoes, that is highly unlikely.
정말 내가 예수님이 필요하고
But truly, to need Jesus, when I need Jesus,
이 방법이 있어요.
you have various other methods.
정말
And in your life, if you truly are a person who loves Jesus, think this way. Lord, today I will not use other methods. Lord, may you help me in this situation. I want to seek your help. I would not like to seek help from anybody else. And try to wait upon the Lord. Pastor, I've been waiting upon the Lord, but I never received any answers or any response. Don't be like that.
근데 내 삶 속에서
In my life,
예수님이 살아서 일하는 걸
Jesus, if you see him working in your life, then you'll be so thankful to the Lord. And these days, you will not have such difficulties. Long time ago,
전도하러 이제
when we went witnessing, when I was witnessing and I was a guest speaker, I had no money to buy the bus ticket.
그걸 채워주시고
And I can see it was not just once or twice where God helped me. I can see God continuously helped me in those situations. Now I have grown old, and it is close for me to go to the Lord.
세월 동안 예수
But for the life that I have lived and how God has helped me, has protected me, has worked, I am so thankful.
이제 우리는 눈에 보이는 다 일들이 많고
There are many things that we see, and there are many people that we see,
마음을 같이
but Jesus we cannot see, and it is not easy for us to become close to Jesus.
돈 문제 아니고 그런
You know,
문제 아니라도
even if it's not problems financially, but let's say it is a development of your child. Let's say it is a different difficulty. Let's say you have some struggles. When you have these certain circumstance,
정말 주님이 살아 계시는데
truly the Lord is alive. Lord, you know my situation.
인간적으로 처리할 수 있어 좀 나.
I can solve this in my own way, but I would not. I would like to receive your grace and your mercy. And please resolve this situation for me.
이 문제는
This
정말
problem,
내가 예수님에게
I would like to receive the help of the Lord.
물론 내가 친구들에게
Of course, I can ask my friends, I can ask somebody, and I can solve this.
난 오늘
But today, I would not tell anybody of this problem, but I will only tell you this problem, Jesus. And Jesus, please solve this problem.
안 보이는
And Jesus, you may not see him with your eyes,
예수님께서 분명히 살아서
but he is alive and working within us.
그래서 여러분 그 예수님을 한 번 얘기하고 두 번
And as we talk, and as you speak to Jesus once, twice,
아 이건
ah, this is what Jesus has done. This is what Jesus has done.
여러분들 그때 이제 뭐라고 말하는 거예요?
And during that time,
기도도 들으시네요.
oh God, he even listens to my prayer.
충격스러운 거예요.
And it is so overwhelming. It is so joyful.
예수님만 의지하고 사는 삶하고
The life where we live only relying upon Jesus and the life where we live relying upon our own methods is completely different.
병 없이
I have been living my life well, healthy, without any disease.
그랬고 또 군에
When I was in the military, when I was discharged from the military, when I began to do the work of the gospel, yes, there were difficulties.
한 번도
But there was never a single time where I asked people, I need help, I need this, please can you borrow some money, borrow me some money.
제 기억에는
In my memories, I have never done this.
정말 예수님이 우리의 주인이 되시고
Truly, as Jesus becomes my Lord, and He helps me in all of my cases.
그 예수님을 한 번 경험하고
As you experience Jesus once, twice, thrice,
예수님에 신뢰하는 마음
then you begin to have a heart to trust Jesus. Even this problem, it may seem difficult. Even I should not tell this to people. I should have a heart to seek the Lord the Lord to solve my problems, and that is how your heart will progress. When I was in Changpali with a few members of the church, I was ministering there, and as I was there, I went to the military and I had to leave the church. And on the last day before I was enlisted into the military,
형제 하나가
there was one brother who told me,
애를 먹었다 하는 거예요. 고구마 장사가
and he was doing some sweet potato business, and he was selling sweet potatoes.
두 관인데 한 관 값에 줄 테니까
There's 2 boxes here, but I'll give it to you for a price of 1.
그 형제 돈이
And so this brother, he had no money, and if I go to the minister,
싸니까
it is too,
좋겠다 싶어가지고 저한테 가져왔어요.
and it was very cheap, so he brought this over to me. And he brought the sweet potatoes. Oh, Brother Kim, thank you so much. I really was craving for sweet potatoes, but you brought the sweet potatoes at this time.
그 얘기 소리 못
And that brother couldn't say anything, and so he gave me the sweet potatoes, but he couldn't get the money for the sweet potatoes, and he felt very upset. And so the last day before I went to the military, we shared some food together, and
몰라도 그 형제 그래가지고
I'm not sure if it was forced, but minister, I came to sell these sweet potatoes. It's half the price. Please buy it if you have some money. So if he said that, then I had nothing else to say. But he brought the sweet potatoes, didn't say anything. So I thought he just brought it to give it to me, and so he gave it to me. He had no choice but to give it to me, and he couldn't get paid for it. And that's what he told me after I went to the military. I'm not sure. Maybe this is just forced faith, but I was really able to eat well.
예수님이 우리 가운데 살아계시
As Jesus lives inside of us, and the problems, the pain, the suffering, the worries that we face,
기도를 들으시고
and as He hears our prayer, and as you see Him work,
감사한
it is such a thankful thing.
어떻게 기록되었냐면
So what it says here,
예수께서 눈을 들어
Jesus,
큰 무리가
verse 5, when Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw the great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, Whence thou shall we buy bread that these may eat?
이렇게 말씀하시면 친히 어떻게 하시더라.
Then this he said to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do.
예수님 계시.
Oh, Philip, oh, Jesus, you're here. You can solve this problem for us.
그게 뭘 사요?
And what, there's no need to buy bread. Jesus, you can do this yourself.
예수 그런
And I believe that is the response that Jesus wanted to hear from Philip. But Philip said,
각 사람은 좋은
200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient for them that every one of them may eat a little, take a little.
말도 안 된다는 얘기.
And so it means that it's nonsense. You cannot buy that much bread.
제자 중 하나고 시몬
But one of his disciples, Simon and Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, There is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many?
똑같은 제자인데
It's the same disciple.
그래서 빌립이 마음
But Philip,
있는 만큼 마음이 시험해 보려고 그 얘기를 했는데
Jesus said these words to test Philip, and Philip said
베드로 형제 안드레가
such words, and Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said such words. There is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many?
그래 여기 한 아이가 보트답게 물고
And so this small lad here has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes.
예수님 나머지 이걸 가지고
So
처리하십시오.
Jesus, this is all we have, but Jesus, you now take care of this problem.
가지고
And with the 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, and to feed the 5,000, and as there was leftovers that remained, and so many people there, and how amazing of a work that Jesus has performed. Everyone, what we must know is,
예수님을 믿어야
ever you must believe in Jesus.
의지해야
You must believe and rely upon Jesus. But time to time, occasionally, even though there are times where you can solve your problems through your own ways, but I would not do that.
보고 경험하고
I want to experience how, Lord, you solved this problem for me. And with this heart, when you pray and wait upon the Lord,
정말 주님께서 우리
truly the Lord,
속에서
He will work and you will see how He is living inside of you. And that's what I experienced many times. Of course, right now, it's not problems of food,
이런저런 이들이
but there are some big and small problems that I face. Maybe it can be financial problems or other problems, and God opens the way.
내가 뭐 어떡합니까? 주님 안 주시면
If God doesn't provide, what else can I do?
왜 달리겠습니까? 도둑질하겠습니까?
Should I go steal or should I go begging others? No. I can see how God many times has provided for me. And as I emphasize this again, as you live your life, you may have lived well until now. That is why all of you are alive here. That's none of you are dead. And you have been living a good life until now. But your life that you live from now on,
나는 바위가 있고
there are obstacles, hurdles
그때 어떻게 하겠느냐?
that will come your way. What will you do then?
내가 인간 방법으로 해결할 수
And
있는 문제라도
even though there are problems that you can solve with your own ways, but to rely upon the Lord, it is very important to experience the work of the Lord.
옆집에 좀 돈 빌려 사면 되는데
Oh, I can just borrow some money from my neighbors, but I will not do that anymore.
주시는 것밖에
Lord, I will only receive what you provide for me. And even if I starve, I would not ask anybody for help. Lord, please help me.
여러분들이 예수님을 점점
Everyone, more and more as you grow in faith in Jesus, as you become closer to Him, and you give and you make the opportunities for Jesus to work.
안에서 일을 하시는
And
경험하시면
when you experience actually when Jesus works, you have such amazing times in your life.
하나 이거 처리할 수 있어.
Oh, I can solve this by myself. I may not have money right now. I can ask someone else. I can receive help from somebody else. Don't do that.
이거
Jesus, I know you are with me. I know you will help me.
문제는
This problem here, I will not solve it with my own ways, but I will ask that you solve it in your way.
너무 놀랍게
And amazingly, you will see how the Lord will work in your life.
감사합니다.
The Lord is someone that we should be so thankful for in my life.
제가 1962년도에
In 1962, I received the forgiveness of sin. I received salvation. And until now, as I've been living my life, not a single time have I asked someone, "Oh, please, can I borrow this? Can you help me?" I have never done that before. Of course, there are problems and difficulties that I faced.
결과적으로는
But in conclusion, all problems, I can see how God was the one who resolved them all. And when I see the Bible, there were the disciples of Jesus. Jesus asked Philip, "Where can we buy bread to feed all this multitude?" Philip,
예수님의 얘기 떡 만들 사람 누가 있습니까?
Oh, you should solve this problem, Jesus. Jesus, you can make the bread, can't you? Jesus, I believe that you can make the bread. How nice it would be if Philip responded this way. But he says 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient for everybody to eat. But Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said, there's a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes. And how can this be? What can this be among so many?
이 사람들 혼자
And this is just a lunchbox of a small boy. And it is not even enough to feed one stomach of one little boy. But what is this among so many? But Jesus, if you are here taking this 2 small fishes and 5 barley loaves, and that is when he began to have the faith that Jesus can feed the 5,000. And this is the difference between those who have and those who do not have faith. And after I received salvation, not a single time, one time, there was a brother who went as a military official to the military, but he sent me some shoes.
전사님
Oh, minister, I had some extra pair of shoes that I received from the military. I'm sorry, I don't know your shoe size. I hope that these shoes will fit you. I'm not sure, and I have sent new shoes to you. And
떨어지 않고 세부로 기도하고 있습니다.
I was praying for new shoes because my shoes were all worn out.
봉지를 풀기 전에
And even before I opened the box, I knew that these shoes would fit my feet.
왜냐하면
Because
이 형제는 내 발 사이즈
this brother may not know my shoe size, but God knows. God knows, and He will give me the perfect shoe size to fit my shoes to fit my feet. And I put on those shoes, and it fit me perfectly. And I wore those shoes, and it was before I got married. And so, with my wife and my mother-in-law, I went to go greet my mother-in-law. And my mother-in-law, what she was most worried about was a young minister living by faith, he might make his daughter starve. And that was what worried her the most. And so, you may be alone and you may live that life. But from now on, you will start a family. What is your plan to live your life? And that is the question that she asked me. So I responded and said, Mother-in-law,
그저 뭐야 하나님은 나를 너무 잘 압니다.
God knows me so well.
아직까지 구두 중
Until now, God has never given me one shoe, but He gave me a pair of shoes. He had given me not just one glove, but a pair of gloves. He has given me a pair of shoes, pair of gloves.
지금은 내가 혼자니까 하나
And right now, I may be alone, and God might only provide for me. But if I start a family of 2, God will give me 2. If I start a family of 3, God will provide me 3. I believe that God will provide. And I was able to pass her test.
사모님 참 믿음이 있어요.
And my mother-in-law had faith.
보다 우리 사람하고 이렇게 비교.
And so I cannot say in front of my wife, but my mother-in-law, truly she was a precious person who was a woman of faith. And I'm very thankful to my mother-in-law. And so she was older than I, and so she passed away.
그래서
In my life, in our lives, in your lives, God, if you have a heart that God knows you, then all the worries, the myriad worries in your life will disappear.
정확하게 여러분 모두를 알고 계세요.
Everyone, God knows you precisely.
여러분의 병 어떤 병이
What disease, what do you have, what sickness you have, what you need, what needs to be done for you. God knows.
이제 너무 신기한 거예요.
And that is so amazing. God knows. God helps.
그렇기 때문에 하나님 제가
God,
돈이 떨어지면 고생하는 거.
I ran out of money, and you know that I'm suffering because I have no money. And speak to God. And when you truly seek God,
여러분 삶 속에 실제로
and you will see how God will work in your life.
그럼 여러분의 믿음이 그러니
And then your faith, as you experience faith once, twice, then your faith will begin to grow.
그 이제 더 중요한 건
And the more important thing is,
복음을 전하고 싶다.
I want to preach the gospel as well.
내가 저 사람이 죄인이라고 하는데
That person is saying that he's a sinner, but if I witness to him and if he receives the forgiveness of sin, and I want to lead him to salvation
그런 마음을
and try to have this heart.
우리 이제 전도자들이니까
And we are people who witness, who are
우리 전도가
evangelists.
딴 형제들은 오늘 내가 막 전대 누가 구원을
When
그게 잘 안 돼. 막
when I was in missionary school, the brothers in the missionary school, they would testify how people receive salvation through them. But that kind of thing
정말 내가
was not easy for me in the beginning.
구원받아 안 일어나 그래서
In the beginning, people were not receiving salvation through me, so it was very difficult.
저는
But one time,
남자라고 착한
there was this very nice young man, and all afternoon long, I preached the gospel to him. And so, he did not receive salvation, and he went back home.
갔는데
And he was going back home, and it was the next day, a Sunday service, and that brother came out to give his testimony. Oh, he received salvation. Oh, he listened to the gospel that I preached to him, and as he was on his way home, maybe that's when he realized and received salvation. And he, oh, Brother Oksu Park, he said so many things, but I didn't understand a single thing he said. And on my way home, I met a different brother, and he preached to me, and I received salvation in 5 minutes. And so that hatred toward him did not leave me.
난 잘했는데
You know, I did so well.
이제 막 그런 일들이
And so there were those things that happened in my life.
가장 중요한
Everyone, the most important thing is,
예를 만일에 예수
everyone in your life, if you truly have assurance that you have received salvation through the blood of Jesus,
점을 찍어 놓고
and as you pray for certain people and go and put it into practice, I may not be good at witnessing, but how Jesus has died on the cross, how he shed his blood, and how he has died to wash away our sins, and how we were made to go to heaven through Jesus. And
연습을 하고 거듭하고
practice that in your heart, recite that in your heart, and go to that person and preach the gospel.
근데 어느 날 예를
One day, as you preach the gospel, the heart that you will begin to have, God is helping me. God is protecting me.
그게
And that is such an amazing thing.
저들 인생살 종종
As we live our lives, and so we come across this time to time.
사람들 연결되고
And as people become connected, as you have fellowship with people, as you preach the words to the people, and that is such a happy thing.
내가 나 혼자라고 생각해.
Everyone, don't think that you're alone. I am one with Jesus.
내가 나는 예수 늘 나와 같이 계신다.
Jesus is always with me.
그럼 이 어려운 일이 겪을
And when I go through difficulties, Jesus is with me. Jesus, aren't you with me? Ask him. And Jesus will not answer you. But trust in Jesus. Trust in him and allow him to work in you.
그래서 여러분들 그냥 인간
Everyone,
수단과 방법이
you may have many of your own humanistic ways, your humanly ways.
인간적인 방법을 전부 제껴놓고
Everyone, put aside your humanly ways
살아가는 예수님을
and rely upon the living Jesus. You'll be so amazed.
예수님은 여러분이 어떤 어려움을
Everyone, whatsoever difficulties you come across,
앞에 다가와서
if you go to Jesus, Jesus, I have this problem. Jesus, if you don't help me, who would help me? I have no other way. Please help me, Jesus.
예수님을 믿고
And believe in Jesus and the heart to rely on him
바꾸어서
and change your life to live in this direction.
여러분 처음엔 잘 안 될까 어찌다
And at first it may not seem to work. This.
분명히 안 될 건데
Surely it's not possible. It's not possible, but Jesus has solved it. And as you experience this one by one, you become more close to Jesus in your heart. Once, twice, thrice, 4 times.
사람들에게 내가 필요한 게 뭐다 알리고 싶다.
And no longer you want to ask people for help, but now you ask God for help.
자, 중요한 것은
And the important thing is,
내가 크고 적은
as we live our life, we will have big or small problems that we do not know that we will face in our lives. But whatsoever things that you will face in your life, every time you come across such things, you will feel the hand of God over your life.
믿으면 많이 자라시고
Then your faith will grow.
틀림없이 여러분이
And without a doubt,
되겠나?
is God gonna work? Is it really gonna happen? Should I just ask somebody to help me? You may have those thoughts, but put down your humanly ways, and I want to rely upon you, Lord. Lord, I want to experience you.
세상에 살아 계실 때 제자들이 이야기해요.
Lord, when Jesus was alive and he provided all things for his disciples and the people, the man with infirmity for 38 years when he was healed, when Lazarus was raised from the dead, and God, when you work in my life, may your work and grace manifest in my life as well.
기도하는 삶을 살면
And when you live the life of prayer and seeking God this way, at first you may think, oh, it's not possible for me. Maybe it may be possible for a pastor, but for me, I can't do it.
그런 생각하는지 몰라도
And you may think this way.
정말 여러분들이 예수님이 살아 계시고
Truly, the Lord is alive and working, and without rest, He works for us.
어느 누구에게 도움을 받고 싶지 않아서
I do not want to receive help from anybody else,
진짜 내 속에
but only from the Lord, and to experience God helping me. And through the ways of God,
테니까 예수 나에게 이 문제 한번 해결해 주세요.
God, please help me solve this problem, solve this problem.
하나님
And when you have this heart, God will help you and you will experience that.
내가 한번 김천에 살 때
One time I was living in Kimcheon.
우리가 그때 철이 없어
During a time, we were inexperienced.
할까 하다가
And we were thinking about buying a house. We were trying to lease a house.
나중에
And later on, we were about to purchase the house. So we got a house on lease.
우리가 사는 집을
And so the landowner of that house,
팔아먹고
he sold the house and he ran away with the money, and then he sold the house to the bank. And one day the bank branch manager came and says, "Are you the resident of this house?" I asked, "What's going on?" "This is no longer your house, Mr. Park. This house is owned by the bank."
자세히 이야기합니다.
And he explained it to me.
내가 돈을 냈는데 그 돈을
I paid the money, but the landowner, he ran away with that money, and he sold this house and
팔아먹고
to somewhere else.
이제 난
And now
줘야 그
I am in a situation where I will become homeless.
시간이 몇분 와서
And the bank branch manager, he came to me oftentimes, but I had no money to pay back this
저희
house.
아버지가
And my father,
살려고 할 때
and when we were trying to purchase the house,
알아보고 내가 저 등기 연락도 해보고 내가 할 테니까 기다릴 때
and so my father told me, "You should wait. Oh, I will look into it." But I said, "Father, it's okay. I'll just." And so until my father passed away, I couldn't even say how sorry I was for not taking his advice.
이제는 집을 비켜줘야 하는
And now we had to vacate the house.
때가 없는
We were about to be evicted.
은행 진영 박형
And then
어느 날
one day, I was about to go to Daegu,
집에 찾아왔어요. 아침에
and the bank manager came and says, "Oh," I told him, I don't have the money to pay back it, and I had to go to Daegu.
옷을 사가지고 같이
And so the bank manager, he came together he accompanied me to Daegu, and he rode the bus with me. And he was explaining how the bank needed the money quickly.
근데 제가 얘기 없이
I had nothing else to say to him. And I told him,
하나님 믿는데
I believe in God.
하나님 기도를 했다.
And I prayed to God, please wait.
그래
Oh, really? Is that so?
내리겠다. 내려서
Okay, then I'll get off the bus. And
올라갔어요.
the bank manager, he went back to Kimcheon.
그러나 이제 우리가 집을 비켜주긴 비켜줘야
And we had to vacate the house. But we had no house to move into, and we had to find a new place to move into. And I prayed every early morning.
내 마음속에
One day in my heart, I had a heart that God will help me.
마음이 들어서
And so
집을 짓고 하루가
I began to search for our new home. I went outside, and I went out in the evening to search for our new home.
중반에 아주
And so there was an elderly man in his mid 50s, and I was in my mid 20s back then.
제가 이제 이야기를 했어요.
And I told this man, I am the servant of God.
지금까지 내가 집을 잘못
And until now, I have failed in buying the house.
기도하다 보니
And as I prayed, and I saw how this house was on lease.
돈이 하나도 없습니다.
I have no money.
제게 주시고 싶어.
Please, if you have a heart to give this house to me, please give this house to me.
미친 소리.
You know, it's nonsense.
그분이
And
감고
he closed his eyes, and he was thinking,
나중에
and then he opened his mouth and said,
난 하나님의 종입니다.
I told him, I'm the servant of God.
나는 김천 치자동 있는 치자교회 장로입니다.
I am the elder of the Chija Church in the city of Kimcheon.
법연에 이 좋은 건물을
God has blessed me with such nice building in the city.
종이 쓰신다.
If the servant of God says he wants to use it,
어떻게
how can I refuse him?
이사 오라고 하시더라.
Come in and move into the house.
근데 그때 그 장로님 따님이
And so that time, the elder's daughter in the living room, she was playing piano and playing hymns. And I felt like I was in heaven.
그 나중에
And later on,
다 이야기 이제 가려고 하는
and I was about to go back. And the elder told me,
혹시 오실 때
when you
빈손으로
move in,
생각하지 않-
if you move in empty-handed, then it may be awkward between the two of us.
얼마나
So how much can you prepare before you move in here?
빈손으로 오려고 생각.
So I was thinking about coming in empty-handed.
그래서 내가 나도 이번에 8만 원
And so I said 80,000 won. 80,000 won? Okay, that's good.
우리가 진짜 가격이 한 30만 원쯤 되는 건데 8만 원.
And so the place is worth 300,000 won, but
이야기를 했는데
and so I said 80,000 won.
8만 원이
80,000 won, where can I get this?
그래서 이번 토요일 날
And so on Saturday, we decided to move in on Saturday.
그날 팀장에게 얘기를 했어요.
I told the bank manager that on Saturday I'll be moving out. And so you can now the house will be the bank's
전에서 국회의원 나서려고 하는
after I will quit my banking job and I will run for office. But I'm so sad that I'm
내가 이거 그냥
unable to help
하면서
you in your future.
만 원짜리 하나 좀
And so he gave me 10,000 won.
간도 좀 받아와야 되죠. 그래서 현금 만 원짜리 받아.
And so I received the 10,000 won from the bank manager. I was so thankful.
근데 그 다음에
And I came back home. There was a young sister who was there.
그때 뭐 철이 없으니까
During that time, I was very inexperienced. I was very inexperienced,
계약했다.
very immature.
계약
And so there was a contract fee.
40만 원 건데 3만 원 준대. 4만 원 준대.
So the contract fee was around 40,000 won. And so
선생님
oh, sir,
내가 빚이 많습니다.
I have a lot of debt.
다른 사람 다돈
And I
못 띠고
may not be able to pay back other people, but I cannot do that to you. And I may not pay all of it back, but she brought 30,000 won.
만 원 그냥 주십시오.
And later on, I also received a 10,000 won again.
친구가
And my friend called me.
이거 어렵다는 이야기.
I heard you're struggling. Right now, I started my business recently, so I'm also struggling.
내가 2만 원이 있는데
I have right now 20,000 won, and you can use it. And when you can pay me back, you can pay me back. If you can't, then oh well.
그래 이제 모이니까 5만 원이.
And so now it became 50,000 won.
하여튼 그
And anyway,
5만 원인데
it was 80
마지막에 이제
80,000 won.
8만 원까지 이어졌는데
And so now,
그 우리 집에 같이 일하는 형제 있는
so we had just a few
100원짜리
thousand won that we had to cover. And so I gathered all of our people who live at the house and said, pull in all of your money. And so we were able to make the 80,000 won. And as God was
아직까지 한 번
working in my life, there was never a single time where I asked people to help me after I received salvation. I have never asked people to help me.
하나님 저를 공급해 주긴 너무 하나님
And seeing how God was providing for me, I was so thankful.
계신다는 그 사실 생각할 때
When I think about the fact how God was alive working in me, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so moved in my heart.
이제 내가 바라는 거는 우리 이 교회 기쁜 소식
What I hope, this is the good news, Gangnam Church.
사함을 받아 하나님
We all are people who receive salvation, who received
여러분
the forgiveness of sin through Jesus. Everyone, you and Jesus, your relationship is not that close. So when you have problems of money or different problems, and when you pray and when it seems like it doesn't work, you want to use your humanly ways.
여러분들이 이제 앞으로 인생을
Everyone,
살면서
from now on, as you live your life,
돈 문제 이런 어려움이 있을
the problems of money, every time you have such problems,
하나님을 믿는 믿음으로
with the faith to believe in God, may you step forward.
물론 여러분이 믿음이 있어서 막 금방 탁탁 돈 기도하면 탁 100만 원 딱 생겨 얼마 또 기도하면 두 번째 2천만
And
원
so when you pray, oh,
모르겠지만
I'm not sure, maybe it might happen when you pray, boom, boom, it'll be your prayers will be answered. But asking people and asking for help from others to borrow money, I have never done that before. Yes, I struggled and I had difficulties in my life, but I've always experienced God helping me as
내 영혼을 죄에서 구원하셔서
the Lord has saved me.
이제 예수님 우리의 주인이 되셔서
And as Jesus has become the new
예수님 곁에
master of our lives,
부탁하면
everyone, if you entrust this work
성하게 생각하지 않아.
not to Jesus but to other people, then Jesus would be upset.
믿음 없는 거 알아요.
Everyone,
누가 뭐 처음
Jesus knows that you have no faith. Nobody will have great faith from the beginning. But one by one,
시작을 해봐.
you have to start from somewhere. When you don't have something, don't tell anybody else. Only to tell Jesus. Jesus knows me. God knows what I need. I'll seek God for help, not other people. Everyone, try this.
어려움 당할 때
And when you are
나를 그
facing difficulties,
막 돈이 없어 막
oh, having no money, and you are going through very great difficulties, but if God miraculously gives you money, you'll be so touched, so moved by God, and you'll see how God answers your prayer. You'll be so joyful. That is how your faith grows, little by little. And spiritually, you will be greatly led to become the workers of God.
전 지금까지 이제 제가 목회하면서
And as I was doing my ministry,
또
there was never a single time where I asked people, oh, can I borrow some money or can I
처음에 어려울 때도 있고 했지만
use this or
그때마다
yes, there were difficulties,
하나님이 저를 같이 도우시고
but I saw how God was living within me and working inside of me.
예수님하고 산에 갔는데 사람들이 5천 명이나 모였는데
There were 5,000 people that gathered here, and there was not a single thing to eat.
여기 성경에 뭐라고 돼? 우리가
Here in the Bible it says,
예수 말씀하셨죠. 예수께서 눈을 들어 큰 무리가
and Jesus then lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, and he saith unto Philip, when shall we buy bread that these may eat?
빌립이 강산 조금씩
And so Philip said, 200 penny worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little.
시몬 베드로 형제
But Andrew, Simon Peter's brother,
내가 예수님
Andrew, he said,
여기 한 아이가
there is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes.
보이떡 5개 물고기 2마리
There's the 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes. It is the lunch of a small boy. It's not this big fish. Maybe it's a little bigger than a shrimp. And he had 2 small fishes and 5 barley loaves.
이야기해요. 그러나 이것이 이 많은
What are they among so many?
하나고 시몬 베드로의 형제 안드레가 예수
One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, saith unto him, there is a lad here which hath 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes, but what are they among so many?
분명히 안드레
And surely Andrew said,
보이떡 5개 물고기
this 5 barley loaves and 2 small fishes
많은 사람이
is not just so. This has to feed all the great multitudes. And Jesus, please work through this.
그 다음에 성경에 뭐라고 하냐면
And so what does it say next in the Bible?
예수께서 가라서 이 사람들을 앉게 하라.
Then Jesus said, make the men sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, in number about 5,000.
11절에 뭐라고
In verse 11 it says,
예수 떡을
and Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to them that were set down, and likewise of the fishes as much as they would. Verse 12, and when they were filled, he said unto his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost.
이에 거두어 보니 보이떡
Therefore they gathered them together, and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of the 5 barley loaves. And so there were 12 baskets that remained out of the 5 barley loaves.
그냥 환상적인 뭐 예수님 눈에 보이지 않는 예수님이지만
And Jesus may be someone that we cannot see.
하고 계신다는 것을 여러분
But you must know that Jesus is alive and working.
가지고 아이가 병들거나
When your child is sick, when you're in difficulty, when you're in suffering,
믿는 믿음으로
with the faith to believe in the Lord when you go forward,
분명히 우리
surely the Lord will answer our prayer and He will perform that work.
참만이 여러분 하나님의 은혜로 병나은 적도 있고 또 역사하는
Through God, I was able to be healed of my sickness and I experienced many miracles.
예수 안 믿을 때도
You know, you can live your life without believing in Jesus. You just live your life. But now,
예수님을 의지하겠다.
as I believe in Jesus, now I will live my life only relying upon Jesus. Oh, Jesus, my son, my child is sick. We can go to the hospital, but I would like to receive the grace
은총과 자비를 베풀어
and the mercy of the Lord.
좀 도와주시오.
Please help me, Jesus.
그래서 우리의 삶이
And through that, our lives become closer to Jesus.
처음에는 좀 어려운
At first, it may seem difficult,
한 번, 두 번 경험하면
but as you experience Jesus more and more, is it going to work? It's not going to work. Oh, no, this,
예수님이 도와주신 거다.
Jesus has helped me.
나에게도 예수님이 일하시는
Now Jesus is working in my life.
살아가면
And that is how your faith grows.
어려운 일이
And if there's bigger problems, that is when you're able to entrust it to Jesus. Entrust all things to Jesus.
그래서 하나님의 힘
And you go forward and you receive the strength of Jesus.
예수님도 기뻐하시지만
Jesus will be pleased and you will live a life full of blessing and grace.
저는 예수님 한 수십 년 동안
For many years, I have believed in Jesus.
특별히 믿음이 있고 뭐 잘난 사람
It's not that I have some great faith,
하나님이 제게 일하시는 거
but I saw how God works. And I am so thankful to God.
그냥 뭐 교회 와서 예수 믿는
Coming to church and attending service, yeah, you can do this.
이제 실제로 예수님
But
마음속에 오셔서
practically, actually to experience Jesus in your life, even though you cannot see Jesus, He is alive.
당면한 크고 적은 문제
And all of your big and small problems that you face, as you experience Jesus solving them for you, and as you grow,
하나님께 영광을 돌리고
you can return the glory to God, and you can do such precious work.
최근에 와서는 제가 거의 뭐 모든 부족함이 없이 잘 살고 있습니다.
And these days I live without much lackings. I have a car, I have gas in my car, and I can start the engine, I can go wherever I need to go.
그러나 옛날에 그런 것들이
Long time ago, when I didn't have these things, when I was
있긴 하지만
difficult, yes, I was in difficulty,
허락하셔.
but God has allowed these things to me so that I can experience Him. And my faith allows me to become closer to the Lord.
인도할 때도 하나님
And
의지하는 하나님 의지하는
as I am leading the church as well, I want to lead the church through God.
경험하게 되면
And when you experience God in your life, you'll be so amazed.
마지막에 여러분들이 이제 나이가 아주 많아서 오늘 내일 죽을
So when you grow older, let's say when you grow older and it's the day of your death,
죽는 것이 너무 헛되이
people, death seems so vain, so empty, so unfortunate. What would happen if I die? But when it becomes a day where you become closer to meet the Lord, you would think, oh, it's a day where I will go to the glorious kingdom of heaven. I'll go to the glorious kingdom of God.
그래서 종종 하늘나라를 좀 그리워하고
And there are times where you yearn for heaven, where you will long for heaven. And as you grow older, may you live this way.
그냥 인간적이면
And don't just,
치더라도
even though there are things,
있는 믿음
problems that you can solve with your humanistic methods, do not do so, but rely upon Jesus. In the beginning, it may seem like it will not work, but as you experience God working once, twice, and secondly, preach the gospel. Preach the gospel of how Jesus, His blood washed away your sins. At first, you may not know what to say, but as you do it once or twice, multiple times, then the people that listen to you, when they receive the forgiveness of sin, that will bring so much joy.
여러분 우리 가운데서
Everyone,
교회를 떠난 사람도 있고
there are those who have left the church,
교회를 대적하는
and there are those who go against the church.
별별
There are all sorts of people.
근데 그런 사람은
When you see those people, I feel so sad and so unfortunate for them. Of all people, and of all places, why do you have to go against the church?
예수 안 믿는 건 안 믿는다고 손치더래.
Even if you say that you don't believe in Jesus, it is such a foolish thing. When you're deceived by Satan, you are led to such foolishness.
구원받은 여러 종류 사람 따라 차이가 있는
There are differences between people,
하는 사람
but the people that God is pleased of.
내가 어려움 당할
When I go through
때
difficulties,
인간적으로 어떻게 처리하지?
oh, how should I solve this in my own way? Oh, I can do this and this and that. No, I would like to solve this problem through the Lord. Lord, please help me.
꼭 하나님
Please, Lord, solve this problem for me.
인간 방법 하나님 기도.
Set aside your humanly ways and seek the Lord. And when you experience this, there are times when it's very ambiguous.
하나님 도와주.
Oh, God has helped me this time.
마음 예수.
And your heart will become closer to the Lord.
그 다음부터는 돈이 있어도 하나님
Even when you have money, you want to rely upon God. Even though you don't have to, you begin to rely upon God more. That is how you will live your life.
복음을 전도하기 시작한 날부터
And starting from the day that I started to preach the gospel, I have never asked anybody for help, or asking for money or asking for other things.
필요하면 하는
When I need something, I would pray to God. I would ask God to provide, and He provides.
여러분 우리는
Dear loving folks,
보이는 아들 딸
our son and daughter, our mom and dad,
눈에 안 보이지만
brothers or sisters,
우리 십자가에 피 흘려 죽으시고
and
모든 죄를
we have all been saved, received salvation through the
하나가게 부족함이 없도록
shedding of the blood of Jesus Christ.
씻어 주시고
You have been cleansed and washed through Jesus.
그래서 여러분이 여러분 마음 안에
Everyone in your heart, there is something that Jesus wants from you. I want
내가 좀더 네 속에
to take I want to take a
믿고 맡겨줬으면 좋겠다.
I want to
예수님 그러실 것 같아요. 그러니까 여러분
to take a greater space in your heart. I want you to entrust all your problems to me, and that is what Jesus wants from us. And step by step, may you go forward to Jesus.
저는 이제 나이 참 많아졌고
Now I have grown old,
그리고
I'm not sure. I don't even remember when I have gotten this old. I feel like that
아, 여러분 나이 다
you're giving me all of your age to me.
자주 형제들한테 먼저 가신 줄
And when I think about the brothers or sisters who have went ahead of me, now I think about how it is almost my time to go to the
목사로서
bosom of the Lord.
많은
And
하나님의 예수님
as a pastor, I've introduced Jesus to many people.
근데 하나님께 그 나라 가서 만나서
And as I meet those people in the kingdom of heaven, Pastor, if I haven't met you, then what would I have done? I would not have went to heaven. Oh, you would have listened to the gospel from someone else. And I'm so happy. I'm so touched.
여러분 하늘나라 간다고 뭐 자살하고 그러지 마십시오.
Everyone, don't end your own life just to go to heaven, okay?
마음으로
Everyone, in your heart, go to heaven. In your heart, go to heaven.
이 세상 욕망이나 정도
Everyone, the desires and the temptation of the world, don't let your heart be dragged by those things. Give your heart to Jesus and live your life with Jesus. Think of Jesus. Consider the Lord. Pray. And that's when you become closer to the Lord. And the closer you are, that is, the greater your faith will be. If you begin to learn how to have faith in the little things, then you will begin to grow in Jesus.
여러분이 우리 교회 나온 분들 참
Everyone, those who have come to our church,
죄가 많지만
I have a lot of sin,
십자가의 피로
but
내가 씻어져
Jesus, by His blood, He has washed my sins away. And I believe that all of us believe in this truth.
의심이 없지요.
And we have no doubts about this, right? So let us take a step forward. It is true that I have committed a lot of sin.
또 주님의 은혜
But all these problems that I faced, I believe the Lord, you will solve all these problems for me.
몸이 약한데 이 문제도 주님 의지해서 우리 건강하게 되도록 기도하고
And we pray that God will help us.
부족함이 있는데 이
And
문제도
when the difficulties that we have, may the Lord resolve all your problems for you. And one by one, as you go step forward, and the more you go closer to Jesus, the Lord has helped me. I am so thankful.
딴 사람에게도 예수님 소
And to other people, you want to introduce Jesus. To your friends, families,
축복에
relatives, and so that you can stand before the Lord with happiness. And may you receive that grace and blessing in your life.
우리는
Everyone, listen carefully. We live in this world, but we are not of this world. We are just here temporarily. We are just here temporarily. We're just guests here in this world. And we will go to the eternal kingdom of heaven together with the Lord. No sadness, no tears, no pain.
우리 앞서간 성도들
And the saints who have went ahead of us, they are living that joyful life, and we will join them soon. And allow your heart not to be in this place where allow your heart not to be at purchasing a good house.
버리고 가도 괜찮아.
All these things you will throw away to go to the kingdom of heaven. And inside of Jesus,
마음으로
truly, may we become closer to Jesus with our hearts. And when you have a time of silence, pray and talk with the Lord. Express your heart to the God. And express your thankfulness to God as well. Express your struggles to God.
눈에 보이는 사람도 가깝지만
Yes, the people that we see may be close to us, but the God that we cannot see can become closer to us. And I believe that you become happy, joyful people in the Lord.
감사합니다.
Thank you.